In the not-too-distant future, Europe grapples with a severe crisis, leaving its people in desperate need of essentials. The collapse of governments paves the way for a ruthless faction, known as Insufficiency Eradication Coalition, to seize control. Their draconian solution to scarcity involves the systematic elimination of individuals. The elderly are the initial targets, followed by pregnant women and children. However, a glimmer of resistance emerges from countries like Ireland, Iceland, and Norway, standing against this oppressive regime. Among those affected are Nico and his pregnant wife, Mia. Fleeing the oppressive regime, they find refuge in the defiant nations. One fateful night, a clandestine ally guides them to the harbor, where they navigate through containers in a bid to escape. A dog momentarily halts their progress, forcing them to alter their course and evade the sweeping searchlights of a patrolling helicopter. The tension rises as police apprehend some individuals, but Nico and Mia manage to slip through the tightening net. Their journey takes a toll when another helper demands additional payment, despite their previous contributions. Reluctantly, they surrender their cherished wedding rings. Boarding the back of a crowded truck alongside other refugees, including women, children, and even a dog, Nico and Mia press on. Concerned for her unborn child, Maya reveals her swollen belly. Nico guides her hand to where the baby's foot can be felt, offering solace amidst the uncertainty. A Snickers bar becomes a small token of comfort, a promise for happier times upon reaching Ireland. With a deft hand, someone in the truck drills an opening, allowing slivers of light to penetrate the darkness. Mia observes other children in the truck, grappling with guilt for leaving their first child behind. Nico, however, reminds her that their initial child was taken away by soldiers. As the hours pass, the truck halts to admit more passengers, intensifying the already cramped conditions. Chaos ensues as the smuggler decides to segregate the passengers into two groups, women and children in one truck, and men in another. Despite Nico's attempts to clarify their prior placement, his pleas fall on deaf ears. The doors seal shut, separating him from Mia. Through a small opening, Mia watches her husband being taken away, their connection maintained only through a phone call. Nico reassures her, emphasizing that they are headed in the same direction and will reunite later. He advises her to conserve battery and safeguard their belongings. As the truck moves forward, Maya peeks through a hole, bearing witness to the brutality unfolding outside. Soldiers ruthlessly quelling protests, and women being treated like captive animals. At a checkpoint, the women conceal themselves at the rear while the driver presents falsified papers. Despite the documents, soldiers scrutinize, initially only perceiving boxes as refugees hide behind a makeshift wall. In the heart of the storm, suspicion shrouds the leader as he fires shots into the side wall of the truck, uncovering a concealed compartment. With soldiers in tow, he demands the women reveal themselves. Gripped by fear, Mia clambers atop the crates just as the false wall is exposed. In a horrifying turn of events, the leader coldly eliminates one woman, triggering a barrage of gunfire that blankets Mia in their blood. Amidst the carnage, only a dog and a small child remain standing. The dog manages to escape, but the soldiers ensure the child's demise. After the soldiers depart, Mia, drenched in blood, sends a tearful message to Nico, urging him to hide. Hours later, the truck arrives at another harbor, and the container is loaded onto a ship. Mia attempts to call Nico, but her calls go unanswered. Leaving a voicemail, she informs him of her presence on the ship. Checking her bag, she illuminates the container with a light before succumbing to sleep. Mia awakens to the container's violent shaking. Through bullet holes, she witnesses sailors navigating the storm that ravages the ship. Desperate cries for help echo as she rolls around, sustaining injuries until a sudden impact renders her unconscious. Upon regaining consciousness, she finds water seeping through the bullet-riddled holes. Peering outside, she realizes the ship has sunk, leaving all the containers adrift at sea. Panic sets in as she attempts to call Nico, only to discover her phone is shattered. Trying another device from her bag, she struggles to recall the password. Concerned for the baby, Mia observes the water steadily rising. Searching through crates, she unearths plastic containers, televisions, alcohol, and earbuds. Adorning a hoodie, she gathers fallen items, including tape and a Swiss Army knife. Employing the tape to stem the water, she stumbles upon her diary and finds solace in a family photo. Suddenly, screams pierce the air as a neighboring container sinks with people inside. Desperation grips her as she screams Nico's name, hastily swapping her SIM card into the functional phone. Yet Nico remains unresponsive, and the container slips beneath the waves. Mia, consumed by grief, spends hours fruitlessly dialing Nico's number. As night descends, she contemplates ending her own life, but is swayed by the fluttering movements of the baby. Determined to survive for the child's sake, she drifts into sleep, the haunting melody of distant whale songs filling the air. A jolt wakes Mia as a hanging crate swings perilously close. This disturbance worsens the water ingress, and she awakens from a nightmare to find the tape undone. Faced with worsening conditions, she places a crate beneath the dangling one, uncovering additional plastic containers. Initially frustrated, Mia improvises, using rubber from lids to seal lower holes. Employing a hose found in a crate, she siphons water out. Crafting a makeshift bed from 2 crates, she marks water levels with tape and counts down to a critical limit. Repeated attempts to contact Nico prove futile, but Mia persists, hanging photos to dry and meticulously rationing her dwindling supplies. Among the scattered items, she discovers a working drill and a lighter left behind by others. Amidst the precarious conditions, Mia's phone jolts to life. It's Nico. His battery, now recharged, reveals he's alive and stranded outside the city due to a deceitful driver. Mia shares her predicament, and Nico vows to rescue her, emphasizing the need to conserve battery and endure for the sake of their child. As a contraction grips Mia, she pleads with the unborn baby to wait. Navigating through the monotony, she rearranges crates, eats a sandwich, but soon succumbs to boredom. The looming storm is met with a fleeting hope that the contraction is a false alarm. Reality strikes as the storm barrels in, shaking the container, and the inevitable onset of labor for Mia. In agonizing pain, she screams while water seeps in. A call interrupts, but her wet hand fumbles the phone. Left with no alternative, Mia sheds her dress, clings to the crate ropes, and gives birth in the water. The umbilical cord, initially wrapped around the baby's neck, is swiftly untangled, and Mia cradles the crying newborn. Perched on a crate, she waits for the storm to subside. The following morning, Mia senses the arrival of the placenta and preserves it in a plastic container. After tidying up, she places the baby in a small box, cushioned with a hoodie, and checks her remaining belongings. Attempting to eat from a can, Mia discovers her water-damaged phone, exacerbating the baby's incessant cries. Despite multiple attempts at breastfeeding, success remains elusive. The container's metallic creaking prompts Mia to use the drill on the ceiling, hoping for an exit. The noise intensifies the baby's cries, testing Mia's patience. Struggling to calm the infant, a momentary lapse of temper is swiftly followed by an apology. In a subsequent attempt at breastfeeding, milk finally flows, providing the much-needed sustenance for the baby. Exhausted, Mia consumes all available food. Returning to drill the ceiling, her battery depletes before completion. Reinserting the SIM card into the original phone yields no results. Frustration peaks, prompting Mia to vent her anger by hurling belongings. Discovering the knife, she tries to use it on the ceiling, but it proves painful for her hands. Left with limited options, Mia tends to the baby, occasionally moistening her skin for relief. Sleep remains elusive amid hunger pangs. In an act of desperation, Mia decides to consume her own placenta. Suddenly, the haunting melody of whale songs resonates again, and a collision with the container startles the baby into tears. Mia responds by hitting the walls. dragging the curious whale away. The next morning, Mia attempts to use the knife on the ceiling again, but it breaks. The dormant phone remains unresponsive, and Mia consumes the last of the clean water, grappling with the harsh realities of her isolation. Overwhelmed by the oppressive heat, Maya resorts to desperate measures, attempting to cool down by immersing herself in seawater and licking droplets from the ceiling. However, the remedy proves counterproductive, leaving her feeling nauseated. As the dizziness intensifies, Mia succumbs to a vivid dream where her first daughter materializes, accusing her of her demise at the hands of soldiers. Nico also appears in the dream, offering solace and reminding Mia that the tragedy wasn't her fault. Upon waking, Maya finds relief with the onset of rain, water cascading through the perforated ceiling. She drinks and collects rainwater in plastic containers. Attempting to open a can, the lid breaks, sparking an idea in Mia. Utilizing the crate's rope through the holes, she pulls until sunlight pierces through. Climbing atop the container, she confirms the absence of land in sight, opting to sleep there with the baby for fresh air. Changing the baby and discarding the soiled hoodie into the water, Mia inadvertently attracts fish. Despite initial struggles, Mia improvises a fishing technique with rope and a piece of metal. Unsuccessful, she spots a passing plane and frantically breaks a television inside the container, using a fragment of its screen to reflect sunlight. In the process, she hurts her leg, but the plane remains oblivious to her presence. Disappointed, Mia returns inside. Hastening her movements, Mia inadvertently injures her leg again but forges ahead, ignoring the pain. Using wires and small metal pieces, she painfully stitches her wound, attempting to numb it with alcohol. Encountering hundreds of earbuds, Mia devises a plan. Crafting a net with wires, she successfully traps some fish, resorting to consuming them raw. In the ensuing days, Mia toils tirelessly for survival. Employing the hose, she removes water from the container, refines her fishing technique with the net, and inscribes SOS notes on paper sheets from her diary. These messages are sealed in containers and cast into the sea. One afternoon, Mia introduces the baby to family pictures, naming her Noah after Nico's grandmother. She divulges the harrowing tale of her sister's abduction by soldiers, carrying the weight of blame. Concerned about Noah's well-being, Maya resorts to alcohol and a lighter, starting a fire to stave off the cold. In the dead of night, a sound echoes against the container, a plastic container. Mia's phone rings, and elation fills her as she hears Nico's voice. However, her joy is short-lived as Nico delivers grim news. In a heart-wrenching turn of events, Nico, attempting to commandeer a boat, is sighted by soldiers and shot. In a tearful exchange, he implores her to promise survival, urging her to place the phone next to their daughter, Noah. Through the device, Nico is serenaded by the sweet sounds of their child. Declarations of love are exchanged as the battery succumbs to the inevitable, leaving Mia to weep as the wind extinguishes the flickering flames. The Snickers bar, a promise for journey's end, remains in Mia's possession. On the 26th day, Mia teeters on the brink of emotional collapse. Desperation manifests in drawings and rants that cover paper sheets adorning the container walls. The encroaching water limit compels Mia and Noah to seek refuge atop the container. Crafting a makeshift raft from crate wood, plastic containers, and rope, Mia clings to hope when a seagull alights, hinting at the proximity of land. Under the evening sky, Mia kindles a new fire and fashions a sail for the raft. A mysterious noise emanates from within the container, prompting Mia to plunge in and salvage her cherished pictures, and spotting the Snickers bar inside a plastic container. Risking all, she ventures further, retrieving the chocolate as water threatens to engulf her. As the raft, carrying Noah, drifts away, Mia's foot becomes ensnared in rope, a desperate struggle against drowning. Armed with a piece of metal, she severs the rope, emerging from the water just before the container succumbs to the depths. Terrified, she surfaces, unable to see Noah. A passing whale expels water, hitting Noah and eliciting cries that guide Mia to her daughter. The next morning, afloat on the raft, Mia entices birds with fish from a plastic container. Seagulls swarm, attracting the attention of a nearby boat. They rescue the small raft, discovering Noah inside, alive and well. A rope from the raft plunges into the sea, and sailors pull until Mia's lifeless body emerges. With unwavering determination, they apply CPR, refusing to concede defeat. After numerous chest compressions, Mia finally stirs. The sailors reunite mother and daughter, using the radio to call for assistance. It takes a moment for Mia to grasp her newfound safety as the horizon unfolds before her, the boat carrying them towards Ireland, a land where she can embark on the new life she so ardently desired.